I suppose it all started 3 years ago or so. I had a quartz watch and it ran out of battery. And I thought, well, I'll change the battery myself. And it was a watch I'd bought in America. My brother lives out there, and I think I spent $200 on this watch, and I quite liked it, actually. And so I set about taking the rear casing off, and the first thing that I saw when I took the case off was a hollow, empty shell of a case with a tiny little plastic quartz movement in there. And I was naive to think that there was more in there than that, but I was incredibly disappointed and disheartened that that was all that was in the watch that was ticking on my wrist.
I tried to bring watches to market myself back in 2011, but it just completely tanked. My day job at the time was miserable, and I was looking for something to work towards. I was a model maker, using 3D printers to make tiny wee architectural models. So I had direct access to this incredible technology. So I started thinking about what most interested me, and watches was the first thing that came up. So I set about designing a watch, and I was posting my progress on a massive watch forum. I was lured into thinking that it would be easy, that I would do this design, I would find a manufacturer, and these hundreds of anonymous people would step in and help me to do this. At the time, crowdfunding wasn't what it is today. Kickstarter was brand new. They weren't accepting British projects, they weren't big enough yet to do that. And there was nothing in the UK. The recession was just taking hold. There was no kind of funding for startups, so it didn't even take flight. It was just the wrong time. But it was such a massive amount of effort to get to that point, to then result in complete failure. It took its toll, so I just decided to step away completely and just focus on family. And that was it for a long time.
I wanted to see if we could create a watch that was engineered, that was mechanical, that had real value. So I set out on a journey to find somebody who could help achieve this. Mainly because I don't have an ounce of design talent in my body. I had a vision of what the watch might look like, but I couldn't design it. I'm just not made that way. So during my research of various forums and websites, I happened upon somebody who was writing some really interesting things on a few forums, and in his signature on the forum, he had a link to his blog. So I took a look at his blog, and he had some really, really interesting articles on there, mostly about design, but he also made things himself. He was obviously an engineer for one, but a very, very competent designer as well.
The business was just starting to take hold when, out the blue, I received an email from a guy whose opening gambit was, "I've been stalking you over the internet."
And I said, I have this idea that I want to make a watch that is mechanical yet competes with these quartz watches for price. And he replied very kindly, and he said that his plate was full, and he had a baby on the way, and he just couldn't commit to the time. So I moved on from there.
But after a week or so, weighing up, what's the worst that could happen here, I pitched quite unfairly that I would design his watch and then step away. I would hand it all over to him. He could do whatever he likes with it, and then at the end of it, as payment, he could give me a few of these watches. But I should have known better, because you can't dip in and out of this industry. You've got to be all in or not in at all.
We had no money. We weren't funded. Everything we did was off our own back. And he did it for the love of creating a product. And that's something that explains or describes Gordon very well. He's a man that wants to make products that people will really enjoy. He doesn't want to make a product, and well, neither do I. He doesn't want to make a cheap product and sell it at a high price. He is all about creating something very special.
And so began this unbelievable journey, where out of absolute thin air, I've bumped into a guy who is so squarely aligned with what I wanted to do and my outlook and motivation to do something positive with my life, who's willing to work hard and basically go on a life experience with this complete stranger. It's still quite incredible. It's a new world that we live in, where you can start up a business with somebody that is literally at the other end of the country and make it work. If you're both willing to put all your trust and faith in that goal, it's a 1 in a million chance that it could ever work. But here we are, we're 4 years down the line and about to release our 5th watch design, and we've done it together. And that's Ollie, the guy who has basically enabled me to do this dream job, while he's running about in the background sorting out everything from logistics and all the back end stuff of running a business, accounts and all that good stuff, but also doing all our quality control and controlling the stock, speaking to customers, PR, marketing, business development. He does all that so that I can do what I do, and it's easy to forget how hard he's working in the background, making this guy look like he knows what he's doing. It's incredibly exciting, but also really drawn out. Nothing happens quickly. The process for design and manufacture is well over a year, from those first sketches and ideas to holding anything physical, a realisation of those thoughts and ideas. It's bloody ages. And I spend months and months and months thinking about every square millimetre of that watch, agonising over every angle and height and depth. We basically spend 4 to 6 months whittling down ideas into one design, packaging it up in our design proposal, discussing it at length with the manufacturer, signing it off, and then we wait. Every component of the watch is split up and then sent to get made, so cases have moulds and tooling paths, tolerance checks, finishing procedures. Hands have dies that need manufactured to stamp out the hand shapes. Dials need the various elements made and soldered on, and printing plates and pads. It's a massive, massive process. In 2 or 3 months though, we get our first rough prototype, which we use for final sign-off. So we check the fit and finish of parts, the sizing and the proportions, and then we give them the green light and we wait some more. And then finally we get a production set of watches. We get these not for sign-off or any kind of changes, it's just for marketing and promotional purposes and showing them to the world, basically. To see your inner mind executed exactly how you'd hoped it would be, that's the payoff for all this work. To see that Coniston, the first time from the box. That's why you do it.